Alright, back at it the next day. The tank's all blown dry and ready to go, and I couldn't reinstall it and get the thing running again, but I decided that even though I know I can't fix this 100%, I might be able to improve the situation if I try and take some of this tolerance that's out of here, this sloppiness. So I'm going to see what I can do about getting this shaft to stop flexing so much on that, and then also where that end of that adjusting screw or rod, where that attaches on the bottom of the shaft. Let me see if I can tighten that up. So first thing I need to do is disconnect that turnbuckle up at the top there. That ought to be a piece of cake because I just put that on not that long ago. And then I got to see if I can get that off the shaft. In other words, there's the shaft that this came off of. Actually, you can see what held that on was just a washer on the end held in place by a cotter pin that went through that hole on the end there. So what I got to do is I've got to take some measurements of that shaft. Hopefully it's pretty uniform thickness all the way across, and then I don't have to do anything to the shaft. I can just bush that hole on the lever. It's a little tough to get an accurate measurement with the calipers, getting them down in there around all those cables and everything, but it does appear that that pin is a pretty uniform half-inch thickness, maybe even a little bit heavier in some spots, but that might be some oxidation or rust. That's good that I don't have to mess with that pin, I don't think, because that pin is actually, I could feel that that pin is actually a 90-degree bent piece of rod that's welded to the inner side of that dashboard, so that would be a nightmare to get that out of there. So let's head down to the basement, a nice cool basement, see what we can't figure out. Alright, so I grabbed the half-inch drill bit and I actually measured it with the vernier calipers here, and it actually measures just about 5/1000ths under half an inch here at the shank part. So if I put that in, it's pretty sloppy, sloppier than I want it. And I tried like seeing whether or not if I just put it in halfway on this side, if it was any different than halfway on this side, which would indicate if one side was really worn out more than the other. And it's pretty darn sloppy no matter which way you cut it. But again, that's not even full half-inch. So I've got this set of plug gauges, I believe they're called. This was actually going to go to the scrapyard when they were cleaning out the shop that I bought the lathes from, and so they were kind enough to give it to me instead of scrap it. And I'm going to see if I've got something in here. You know, I just took a quick look at these gauges when I grabbed them, and I just realized now that these are actually for length, so they're not for diameter. These are all, I think, pretty much the same diameter. I actually just checked though, and what's nice is they're pretty much right on the money, half an inch, 5/100,000ths, which is really what I wanted anyways. These look like this might be a homemade set. I mean, that looks like the numbers were stamped on there by hand by somebody. And this, you know, that would explain why they don't fit this case perfectly. This case must have been a case for maybe a micrometer or something, and he made this little set and then repurposed it. Just curious. This says it's 1.750. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much maybe 1.749. Of course, that could be the... Really, oh, nope. There you go, I just repositioned it. 1.750. Ah, cool beans. So now you can see at a half inch, certainly a little better than the drill was, but still sloppy. And on the other side, yeah, same thing. Way too sloppy. So we're going to have to come up with a solution for that. Well, I was sitting here and I was just in the process of editing this video, and I found out that I'm missing more clips. So what you're going to see next is it's going to pick up where I'm already working with the Atlas lathe to make a new bushing out of a piece of round brass stock. So without further ado, back to the show. Don't! Can't be trying to make a 1/2 inch hole in one shot. Not going in. Okay, the countershaft assembly on the Atlas here is all set, and now I'm ready to resume the repair that I was doing on the multi-hoe, finish making this bushing. So I may have bent the main drive pulley, one of the spokes, because it wobbles, but I'm going to deal with the matter at hand. Anybody remember how long I was supposed to make that? Oh. Well, it's pretty much 1.5 inches. Jeez, let's see. That's just there. Not quite there yet. Oh no, I got ways to go yet. Well, that might do it. I'd say we're about good. Oh no, not quite. Yeah, the center, but of course there's an angle on the end of the drill there, so I don't know, another 100,000th or so should do it. Now, I think I have to counterbore that. I'm not mistaken. I don't think that's the final dimension. What was the dimension of that pin? Now I'm going to have to go out and measure it. Wow. Maybe I was a little too overzealous packing this with grease, because there's a lot of it squeezing out. It's not dripping off though, but I think I will clean it up. It's Now we got a 1/2-inch drill bit in there. How did I know that was going to happen? Still can't find a chuck key that's an exact fit to this chuck. Pain in the butt. Alright, here's a 31/64 Morse taper drill bit. That actually looks almost brand new. This came out of the estate sale buy that I made. Alright, last night the battery died on me, but all you missed was I ended up finding another Morse taper drill bit that was... I want to say it was like 61/64, no, not 61, 31/64, I think. And I used that, drilled this out, and then I put my 1/2 inch back in there, and for the most part it did slip some, but for the most part I was able to drill it out. So I already don't like the fact that this tailstock in the Atlas here doesn't have anything to for that tang on the end of the Morse tapers to engage. So that's one of the things I'm not going to miss about this lathe. Alright, I've turned the rod around now to hold it in the chuck so I can cut it to rough length. I'm not going to use a parting tool to do that. I'm just going to use the hacksaw because I didn't have much luck with the parting tool before, and this is more about getting this done to get the multi-hoe running again than it is about me learning how to run the lathe. There's going to be plenty of time for that, especially this winter when the snow's on the ground and I can't work on that other stuff. So I am going to get the carriage out of the way just in case, and then I think I'll grab a board to go across the ways. John on Double Boost, he talks about the importance of putting a board down across the ways almost every time that he's taking a chuck off. And he also talks about when you're hacksawing something, and it's a very good point. A lot of lathes that come out of schools and that will have a lot of damage underneath this area, on this area right here, underneath the chuck, because you cut through, student cuts through, slips, hacksaw hits the edge there. Matter of fact, that might even be a hacksaw dig right there. Anyways, so I'm going to try and cultivate a habit of doing that. I'm going to probably cut boards to the perfect size for the other lathes once those are up and running. So I'm just going to, again, cut this to a rough length. See? So now that will go back in my scrap pile, my keep scrap pile for future projects. Get something to deburr this, and I'm going to head outside and see how it fits on that shaft.